Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben and I'm a coach here at VeganProteins Online Coaching. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite go-to snacks when I'm dieting. Now when we think about what a successful nutrition plan for fat loss looks like, the main things that we tend to focus on is eating a variety of whole foods. The majority of our diet is largely going to be made up of whole foods. You may have heard of the 80-20 rule before, and generally what that refers to is the fact that we want 80% of what we eat to be made up of whole foods. So if you think about your fruits, your vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains. And then we also want to make sure that we are prioritizing our protein intake. Now, if you're unsure where to start when it comes to protein intake, a good ballpark estimate would be to aim for about 2 grams of protein for every kilogram of lean body mass. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing protein when we're dieting because it has a muscle sparing effect, which means that when we diet, a larger proportion of the weight that we lose will be from body fat and not muscle, which will give us the physical appearance that we're after, which will be a more toned, sculpted, leaner physique as opposed to a physique that is just smaller. Now, the last thing that I want to just briefly mention is that, of course, weight loss comes down to being in a calorie deficit, which means that we are burning more calories than we're consuming. So we want to make sure that we have our calories in place, our protein in place, and that we're getting our calories, the majority of them, from whole foods. Now, the reason that this is going to help us is because whole foods have lots of micronutrients in them. They have water, they have fiber, all of these things that help with satiety in addition to just overall health. So it's going to make the diet more easy to adhere to and to stick to, and ultimately that is what is going to dictate the success of your nutrition program, is how well you are able to adhere to it over the long term. Similarly, protein does have a bit of a satiating effect and a higher thermic effect of food, which means that for every calorie of protein that you eat, your body takes a little bit more calories to break it down and to burn it. So about 25 to 30% of the calories that we eat from protein will be burned off as our body digests it. Carbohydrates is more like 5 to 10, and fat is closer to 0 to 3% of those calories will be burned off as your body digests those macronutrients. With all those caveats out of the way, I want to actually get into talking about what are some of my favorite diet-friendly snacks. So the snacks that I'm going to be talking about today, you're going to see are not whole food based. And that's okay. Like I said, not all of our diet needs to be 100% whole foods all the time. If the base of your diet is nutritious, then you can fill in the rest with other stuff that is considered more processed. Again, we need to look at this term, what does processed even mean? Technically, cutting up a piece of fruit is processing it. So processing is a spectrum. Now, some of the benefits of these prepackaged foods that I'm going to be talking about today include taste, convenience, and the fact that they fit well into most people's macronutrient goals or targets. So I'm going to go through each of these items one by one. I'm going to talk about some of the pros and the cons of each, and I'm going to talk about how you might incorporate these into your own plan. So the first food item that I'm going to talk about today is front and center, Premier Protein cereal. Now, this cereal has a special place in my heart as I am currently in contest preparation for some natural bodybuilding shows. This is my first season. I actually just had my first show last Saturday, and this was the main protein source that I used for almost all of my prep. So almost all of the protein that I was eating was coming from this protein cereal. Now that seems a little bit odd, so let me explain why I defaulted to this protein cereal to get the majority of my protein. So the first and the most obvious is that the macronutrient profile, so the nutrition label of the cereal, fits within the context of my goals. In a 1 cup serving, you're looking at about 180 calories and 20 grams of protein. Now that's a pretty good deal. That's pretty similar to a lot of protein bars that you'll find, and it's in cereal form. Most of the protein is coming from wheat or wheat gluten, so if you are gluten-free, this would not be the best option for you. And the rest of the protein, I believe, comes from soy protein and pea protein. Other than that, it doesn't actually contain a ton of ingredients. There are some sliced almonds, which is kind of primary flavor for the cereal. This is the mixed berry almond, and this is the chocolate almond. Most of the time, I would be having this cereal with some unsweetened almond milk, maybe some frozen blueberries, maybe a kind of another fruit on the side. And one thing that's really nice about this cereal is that you can package it up in little baggies and portion it out if you're traveling, or put it in maybe some sort of plastic container or container that makes it easier to travel so it doesn't get crunched as much, if that's something that you care about. But this is a really nice way to start your day if you want to make sure that you get your protein in early, so maybe you have more flexibility later. Let's say that you work an office job at 9 to 5 and you find that you have trouble prioritizing protein when you're at work, and then maybe you come home and you need to cook dinner for your family, or you're going out somewhere and you find that the vegan options are maybe lacking in that department. So by kind of front loading your protein at the start of the day, you can think about doing a similar thing with fruits and vegetables and all those other nutritious whole foods that we want to get in. You can worry a little bit less and be a little bit more flexible with what you do later in the day. So usually I would be having 2 servings of the Premier Protein cereal, which amounts to about 360 calories, 40 grams of protein, and that was a really nice way for me to get my protein in throughout the day. It was kind of like a sweet treat, something that I enjoyed. The cost on these will vary, so where I was, they run for about $5.50 a box. You can get them on Amazon. I found them at Wegmans. I know you can get them at Walmart as well. And I know on the West Coast, I've heard from some friends that you can get them at like a bargain mart for $1 or $2 a piece. Sometimes you'll find them. If you don't have access to these, some other options for protein cereals would be the Kashi Go cereal. The Cinnamon Crisp is personally my favorite one and the one with the best macros. Three Wishes makes a protein cereal as well. So there are plenty of options when it comes to some sort of vegan protein cereal. So if you're someone who has a sweet tooth like myself and you like a little treat, but you still want to make sure that you're hitting your protein goals, they can be a great option to include. Now, speaking of convenience, the next thing that I want to talk about is everyone's favorite protein bars. Well, not everyone's favorite. I know some people are not a huge fan of protein bars, and listen, I get it. Some of them taste kind of funky, they're chalky. Now, this one, in my opinion, having tried dozens and dozens and dozens of different vegan protein bars, is my personal favorite, and I think it's the best in terms of what you get for taste, for nutrition, for convenience, and that is going to be the Nugo Slim protein bars. Now, this is the chocolate peanut butter, or now crunchy peanut butter flavor. They do have some flavors that are not vegan, so watch out for that. But this one, the espresso, the toasted coconut, and the mint one are all vegan. So in one of these protein bars, you're looking at about 180 calories, 16 grams of protein, 8 grams of fat, and 17 grams of carbohydrates. Now, it is a little bit of a smaller bar, which could be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it in terms of convenience. One thing that I really like about this bar that you won't find as often in other bars is the fact that it doesn't have this kind of weird sweet aftertaste from some of the artificial sweeteners. Now, I want to give a quick disclaimer about artificial sweeteners, whereas they're often referred to in the literature non-nutritive or non-caloric sweeteners, so sweeteners that don't have any calorie value to them. Now, I'm not going to get into the literature surrounding artificial sweeteners, as I think that there tends to be a lot of mixed opinions on this topic, but I will say I think that some people tolerate them just fine, other people's maybe they don't. Some people might find that they mess with their stomach a little bit, they don't like the taste of them, they feel kind of gassy and bloated afterwards. Others may find that it feels like subjectively it increases their cravings. For myself, I know that artificial sweeteners, having a diet soda here and there, having some stuff that maybe has, I don't know, some stevia or some sucralose in it, which if there were to be any kind of negative detrimental health effects of consuming, I think it's outweighed by the cost that I'm able to better stick to my nutrition goals, which means that I have a better body composition, which in my opinion is largely going to have a better impact on my overall health as compared to worrying about getting these small amounts of these things in there. And it's something that I enjoy, is having something that tastes a little bit sweet but still allows me to stick to my goals. So one thing I like about the Nugo bars is that they don't have any of the artificial sweeteners in them. So they do have a little bit of sugar, but it's nothing crazy, and I find that it kind of tastes like a slightly proteinish candy bar, which can be a great option when you're on the go, you're traveling, and you just need some way to get some protein in to hold you over in between meals. Having one of these Nugo bars can be a lifesaver. Now, this next one is more of a category, and that would be vegan jerkies. So my personal favorite are these Primal Spirit vegan jerkies. I like the Thai peanut flavor, and they're made mostly from wheat protein, so vital wheat gluten, and then they have flavorings in them. So in one of these packages, which is 28 grams an ounce, it's 74 calories, 2 grams of fat, 8 grams of carbohydrates, and 10 grams of protein. So there are tons of different brands of vegan jerkies. There are ones that are soy-free, there are ones that are gluten-free. So you can almost certainly find one that fits you and your preferences. These are also really nice because they're a convenience food, but they're a little bit more on the savory side of the spectrum. So if you're somebody who prefers that over sweet, these can be a really good option. They don't melt, so if you're worrying about some of your protein bars melting in the heat, that's another benefit of the vegan jerkies. Also, we know that when you're dieting, things that take a while to chew and masticate, it's such a strange word, isn't it, masticate, promote satiety and give our bodies time to really tell us that we are full. So that would be another benefit of these. They help you kind of slow down that eating rate. And another reason that I like this brand is that it tends to be pretty inexpensive compared to the other brands. So the Primal Spirit vegan jerky was the next one on my list. Now coming over here, this is a bit of a different one compared to the other products that we've talked about so far. So this is not going to be one that's super focused on protein. This is a little bit difficult to find, so I've only been able to find it in a Shaw's or a Star Market, which is a local chain to me. I live in the Northeast, but you might be able to find it at a corner store. That's where I initially discovered it, just walking around New York City with some friends, and I found it in a convenience store. So what this is it's basically mango nectar, so it's like a thick mango juice, and instead of it being full sugar, it's sweetened with, I believe, sucralose is the sweetener that they use. So you can see this is a lot of liquid, like it's a big container. It's 32 fluid ounces, which would be 1 quart. So it's a lot of liquid, and in the entire thing, it's 180 calories. So 4 servings of 45 calories. If you compare that to like a cup of fruit juice, which again is the same amount of volume for the 45 calories, is usually about 120 calories, all coming from carbohydrates, all coming from the full sugar fruit juice. So for 1.5 cups of fruit juice, 180 calories, instead you could have this entire container, and that's probably going to not only satisfy if you have any kind of cravings, but it's a really nice kind of like refreshing thing I find to have during the summer. Sometimes I'll come home from a workout and I'll just sip on it for a couple hours afterwards, and then I might have some protein source on the side, whatever that might be. It's really nice for traveling. You kind of just have it on you to sip on. And I do find that it's a little bit more filling because it is a little bit thicker than a typical juice. So not something that a lot of people are familiar with or have heard of, but it can be another great option if you're looking for a substitute. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about today is this Jolly Time Healthy Pop kettle corn. So kind of another one that I randomly stumbled upon. I was at a friend's beach house and we were looking through the cabinets to find food because we ran out. And I found this Healthy Pop popcorn, and I looked at the ingredients and I'm like, oh, it happens to be vegan. It's a kettle corn, it's a microwave popcorn, and it's fat-free. So I gave it a try and I really liked it. Again, sweet tooth, sweet, salty. It's something that I'm a fan of. Now they have ones that you can get that are individual, kind of like single serve 100 calorie ones. These are a little bit bigger, so I believe in one it's about 260, 275 calories depending on the label and where you look. And it's mostly coming from carbohydrates. I think the total grams of fat is like 5 grams of fat or less for that 275 calories. There's probably like 8 grams of protein, 6 to 8 grams of protein, and the rest is coming from carbohydrates. But popcorn, low-fat popcorn, is actually a great snack for when you're dieting because you get a ton of food volume. So I can literally take a metal bowl like this big and fill it up with one of these bags. It's got a nice salty taste to it. It's something that I can enjoy with my family if I want to like watch a movie, and I don't necessarily need to feel guilty about having the popcorn. As I mentioned, it has a lot of fiber, it has a lot of volume. So if you're able to eliminate the calories that typically come from popcorn, butter, oil, that sort of thing, popcorn can be a great snack when you're dieting, and it's super satisfying and delicious to eat. So that would be another one that I would recommend. It's a little harder to find. You sometimes can find it on Amazon, but you can actually just order it directly from their website. That's what I do, and in one of these boxes you get 3 bags, and I think most of the time you order a couple boxes at a time through the website, and it lasts me quite a while because I don't have it every single night, but there was a phase where I was actually having it every single night. So that is going to wrap up my favorite foods to have when I'm dieting. So oftentimes I'll bring these with me when I am traveling, and I'll rely on them when I'm in a pinch. So if I have some time to prepare some food, most of the time I'm not leaning on these things. These things are things that you want to have in your back pocket so that when you need them, you have them. As I mentioned, the majority of your diet when you're in a fat loss phase should most likely be made up of whole foods, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with incorporating some of these more convenience foods, especially if they help you to hit your goals. You absolutely should not feel guilty about including them. These are things that I've used throughout my contest preparation for my bodybuilding shows, and they've been super helpful in the situations where I have leaned on them. Now, again, if I had some more time, I might prepare something like some cut up apples with some defatted peanut flour or powdered peanut butter, PB Fit, PB2. That might be a snack option. I might make myself a smoothie with some protein powder and some frozen fruit. These are just to give you some ideas to get the juices flowing and to get you thinking outside of the box. I figure some people might not have heard of a lot of these, so I kind of wanted to just bring some awareness to some of the things that I use when I need to just grab and go, or if I want to bring something with me if I'm not sure what options will be available if I am traveling or I'm not in my usual environment. If you find that you are struggling with hitting your nutrition goals and getting to your desired body composition outcomes, here at Vegan Proteins, we work with vegans to help them build muscle, lose body fat, whatever it is that you have for your goal, athletic performance. We'd love to work with you and help you get to where you want to be. So if you're interested, the link will be down below. Thank you for tuning in to another video. As always, if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a friend, family member, anyone who you feel like would benefit from watching this video, that would be much appreciated, and we will catch you in the next one.